Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Haddonfield Horrors podcast, where we review horror movie franchises. I'm your host, Mark, and today I am joined with Maria.
Hello.
We're reviewing Rosemary's Baby from 1968. I like this movie. I enjoy it a lot. But before we get into that, I'm gonna give you guys a plot summary. A young wife comes to believe that her offspring is not of this world. Wayfish Rosemary Woodhouse, played by Mia Farrow, and her struggling actor husband Guy, played by John Cassavetes, I don't think I said that right, moved to a New York City apartment building with an ominous reputation and odd neighbors Roman and Minnie Cassavet, played by Sydney Blackmore and Ruth Gordon. When Rosemary becomes pregnant, she becomes increasingly isolated, and they reveal the diabolical truth only after Rosemary gives birth to her baby. Maria, was this your first time watching Rosemary's Baby?
It was my first time watching it.
What did you think? Because I, for one, love this movie. It had it. It's one of those horror movies that I enjoy that touch on so many different themes while also being a horror movie. So I enjoyed it. So what about you? What did you think?
I I didn't know what to expect like when I first watched it.
You had no
Um
background knowledge?
no, not at all. I mean, I think I did watch the 2011 one, and I was like, so I kind of had like an idea of what it was going to be about, some baby pregnant with the devil's child. It was really good, honestly. I think I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It was very interesting. I I'm surprised I haven't like watched it before, honestly. Um the movie really shocked me in like a lot of scenes, but I really really liked it.
There are some shocking scenes given that it came out well in the late '60s. Times were changing, I guess, because I was like, a couple years, a couple years earlier in that decade, like that movie wouldn't have been allowed. Like the movie has some shocking scenes, and it has some scenes that leaves like you open to interpretation about what the hell is going on. Like okay, well since we're going, let's talk about some of the scenes we liked or disliked, and then scenes that just left you questioned. And for me, it's the scene where Guy comes home and she's obviously been drugged, and he's undressing her, and she's like, "Why are you doing that?" And he's like, "Because you're getting hot." And then all of a sudden, she's envisioning herself on the beach, surrounded by like the entire building, basically. And when I first watched this movie, I didn't know what the fuck was happening in that scene. But watching it back now, like one, her husband, even if he didn't penetrate her, it was a weird game rape, artificial insemination shit going on that her husband let happen,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's yeah.
like that. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
he
trying to
was
explain the scene, but I don't know how to explain it. Like it was weird. Like yeah, go ahead.
I don't know, her husband was not it. He was like I don't know. I just it was okay, like the scene that I liked was I don't even know. It's honestly a lot. Um because I know the scene that you're talking about. That scene shocked me. Cause yeah, from a movie from like 1968, I was not expecting that.
The nudity, like the
Yeah,
boobs. Yeah,
no,
I was like,
like the devil, like you, like the whole thing. I was like, oh, okay. And then her kind of trying to like rationalize it. Her and her mind trying to rationalize it. Her and her dream trying to, I guess, go to like a happy place. Make it happy until it turned very dark. I think out of the whole movie, I think it's the closest that you'll get to like anything supernatural. You know Um,
Yep.
which I thought was very interesting because, it's supposed to be like a scary movie, but it's not, based off a woman having the devil's child, but it's not a very supernatural movie. But that scene, I don't know, I saw that scene and I was shocked. I was like, no way this
Yeah,
is happening right
that's
now.
yeah. You're right. That's the only like super because like it's about the movie because you're right. It's about a movie that it's a movie that yeah. It's a movie that's about a woman giving birth to the devil's baby. But even with saying that, like, and without that like shot of the baby's eye, like, have you seen the baby's eyes?
Yeah, and
You
then
like if you didn't have that scene, you would think this was all just like happening in her head that she was going through. Well, she was going through a major case of being gaslit, but like everyone she came in contact with.
yeah, I felt so bad. I felt so bad for her, and watching her basically trapped, nobody was there for her. They isolated her from her friends and family, and I felt kind of trapped with her, cuz you kind of see everything from her perspective. And literally everywhere she turned, it was someone that was against her, someone that was plotting, someone that was just not on her side.
The
With
whole movie just makes you like I felt uncomfortable watching it. And then that scene where she showed her husband her new haircut, and he's like, "I don't
What are
like
you talking about? You look great. It's that haircut that looks awful.
like." Obviously, she was nervous to show you. Obviously, she likes it. You could have said that differently.
I know, and then everyone was like, "Your hair looks ugly." And it's and like the things that her haircut was supposed to be like a modern haircut. It's like it's what was in during that time, and but it's ugly. Like, no.
Like, was the devil not gonna like it? Was he not gonna inseminate her? Like, what the fuck? And I still can't pick out which point did at to which point or which scene when the husband flipped. And rewatching it now, I'm starting to think he was already in on it before they fucking moved to the building. Did you
Honestly,
get that feeling?
I think he flipped in the very beginning. I think when he first met them, Roman was basically kind of like seducing him with his stories until the second time when he went, right. He went because he was like, I like Roman stories. I'm gonna go back. He went back, and then he came back, and he came back kind of weird. Um, which I'm assuming that's when Roman was telling him all these things, and then
That's right,
when
because when he was with Roman, Minnie and her friend came with Rosemary.
yeah, yeah. And then when Roman came back, he was kind of, to be honest, he was kind of weird. In the beginning, he was very like just kind of distant. But then when he came back that second time, he was kind of weird until he got that phone call about the other actor going blind. I think that's where it hit him, where he was like,
This
"This
shit
is
actually
this is
works.
yeah." He was like, "This is because he was a struggling actor. He had just lost a role. He was struggling. They just moved into this place, and they mention it multiple times in the movie that he's very selfish, that he is very self-centered. Like Rosemary says it multiple times, and it's not even to like complain. She'll say it like, "Oh, it's just Guy. It's
He
just how he
sold his
is."
wife's womb to the devil so he could become. We'll save our Roman. I mean our guy
Sorry.
rending, but besides those two, the scene where she was walking into traffic,
I thought that scene was. I didn't get it. I didn't really understand what was the whole point
I
of.
think she was just like so she was just trying to escape at any means is what I got from it.
Also, oh yeah, and that's when she like threw away her charm because she was like
Mm-hmm.
done with this. The scene that also kind of stayed in my head was after that party with her friends, and her and Guy are like yelling at each other, and like her pain just stops in her stomach, and the baby starts moving around, and she tells Guy to feel it, And at first he didn't want to, and she grabbed his hand, put it on her stomach, and he started feeling it, and you could see him pull away so quick. And I was like, it's. I mean, I thought it was kind of fucked up because it was like you sold your wife's womb, and now that it's happening, you're kind of freaking out about it.
Like you knew what this baby was when she told you she was pregnant. Like, like you knew what the baby, you knew what was happening before she did. Why are you freaking out? She doesn't even know what she's carrying around inside of her.
yeah, she really didn't. She was so happy for that baby.
The whole like this movie has like some deep themes, and it's a psychological thriller, which is like my favorite like genre of horror movies, the psychological ones. And I was just like, the whole time I was just like, oh my god, poor Rosemary. I just kept
Yeah.
saying it like, poor Rosemary. Like, no.
Yeah, like the woman in me was getting so mad for her, and she was just like,
The amount of gaslighting they all did to her, especially her husband.
"Yep, yeah,
And then to tell her that her baby was stillborn.
yeah." I don't get why they did that because, okay, because yeah, her baby was stillborn, and I guess like kind of like towards the end where they're like, yeah, like your baby is stillborn and stuff, and then when she came in and she saw everyone, they were like, "Do you want to see the baby? Like you should be the baby's
Your
mom."
baby wants your baby needs a mother. Then why the fuck you tell the baby was stillborn then?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
exactly what I was
because of the
thinking.
eyes. They didn't want her to see the eyes originally.
But then they pushed her like,
I mean, at that point they were caught. So what are you supposed to do? It's that I love the movie, but the ending has its faults. There are a lot of things that happen at the last like 15, 20 minutes that just like buddy the guy who died giving her the satanic book, and then her now being able to put all the pieces together about who Roman actually is. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, I was kind of proud of her about that, because I feel like she was also in very extreme denial, and
Mm,
for her to be, and she was a very like, she was very Catholic, and for her to start like accepting that and to start like, you know what, like maybe this is like real. I was kind of like happy for her. I didn't really expect her to put up a fight, honestly.
same. But I was so happy when she did. When she like bust through the secret room, I was like, yes. When she pushed Guy off of her, well, let's talk about Rosemary then, because
Sorry, we're
because
like all over the place.
no, because the movie's all over the place, but it's great. But with Rosemary, you literally see her be like all hyped and happy about moving into this new place. She designed it, put it all together. She loved her husband. She was so supportive of him. But from the very first like interaction, I was like, she can do better. He doesn't appreciate her, but she was doing everything she could for him, and then you just see her like get paler, but it was like she was getting like gray, like dark face. It just you could tell that she wasn't doing good, and she cut her hair, and then you knew she was pregnant, and it's like, damn, like you watched her physically and mentally get worse, and then she got better towards the end, and she was like, I'm here, and then she pushed Guy off of her, and then she went to the baby, and I was like, I hope she comes out of this. I hope she makes a deal with the devil and just ruins Guy's life. That's all she wants. It's like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll raise your baby, Satan, but ruin this man's life.
Yeah, I would definitely do that because I mean, you guys fucked me up for those 9 months, and I'm the mother of this baby. Satan chose me, and you really think I'm not gonna have some type of revenge? Like, but yeah, you can definitely see, like, I think it was like afterwards when she found out she was pregnant and when she started to really change. And you can see it was basically draining her. Um I can't imagine what would be going through Guy's head when she starts making all these accusations that turn out to be true. And just for him to be like, "No, like, don't know what you're talking about. That's no." Um and what also kind of got me is like, why wouldn't they want her kind of in on it, you know? Um because I mean, Guy gets his career, and Rosemary gets the baby that she wants. I mean, and all she wanted was a family. Um, but I mean, they were kind of like not letting her have that either until the very end when she basically went in, stormed in, and basically said, "This is my baby." And then in the ending, where she accepts the baby, I thought, like, why didn't they just tell her? They treated her like such a child. Like, gaslit the fuck out of her. And you can see in the beginning, I mean, when she had like her long hair, she would wear like ponytails. She wore very bright colors, I guess, to make her seem very innocent, very 19, 50s housewife. And she was, she stayed home. She fixed up the place. She's very like submissive to Guy. And all she really wanted was a family.
Right? She was so happy when she found out she was pregnant. Like the biggest smile on her face ever. He was like, you could tell he wasn't interested.
Yeah, like to him, like Rosemary was just a trophy wife. She was very beautiful. She was
Rosemary
very
was a
cute.
means to an end.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way. I don't know. I felt so bad for her. I mean, I guess I'm kind of happy that in the end she got what she wanted. She got her baby, but she just didn't have to go through all that. They didn't have to do her like that. They didn't have to gaslit her like that, manipulate her like that. And they all just watched her suffer. And they were just like, "Oh, well,
They
that
could at the
sucks."
very least told her why instead of having her fucking that doctor, I forgot how to say his name, but having a doctor come in and sedate her and they take her baby and tell her they told her baby was stillborn. That's the level of like deception they were going through. And if you're going to tell her her baby is stillborn, then why place the baby, this newborn crying baby, in a room or an apartment where she's going to hear the baby?
Right?
Like, you didn't even try to hide. You know that the entire apartment, your apartment and their apartment, used to be one big one big like penthouse or something, and that the wall that separates it is thin. So why the fuck wouldn't you account for that? They're all dumb. But let's talk about Guy. You want to start? You want to go give your opinion on Guy?
God, I hate God. Hated him from the beginning, hated him in the middle, hated him at the end. Like, in the beginning, he was just distant. And there was like nothing between them. That scene where it was their first night there, and she was like, let's make a baby, let's make love. He never said yes, never said no. He just finished his food, took off his clothes, and they just did it. And I was like, okay. And then he just kept dominating her, wasn't letting her really have ideas. Um, and when he raped her and stuff, like like with the whole demon, um, and she wakes up and she was like, "I'm naked, I'm scratched up, like what the fuck?" And he was like, "Oh well, I didn't want to miss baby night, and like I just did it with you knocked out." And she was like, "Knocked out? Like I was out?" And he was like, "Oh well, I just sorry, I didn't mean to get rough." It was like a what did he say? It was like he said it was kind of interesting. It was like a necrophilia kind of thing. And I was like, oh my god. Kind of like, and she like, you can see she was kind of upset about it, but then she was, I guess, torn between like, well, it's my husband, so he can't rape me. We're in this marriage, which it's still not right. I mean, you
which
don't
which
do that to someone. She didn't
which
give
was
you
the
consent.
mindset? Like, which was the mindset back then that rape between a man and his wife wasn't rape because they're married, so it's always consensual, even if his wife said no. So that's like a mother theme, but they were like touching on. And I was like, "There's no way this movie is from 1968. They're going too hard and too big for this to be a movie of this time, of that time period."
Yeah. Yeah, like that movie was just like, I don't know. I just really didn't like Guy. And he gaslit her. When he threw away the book that Hutch had given her about witches and stuff, because she's reading too much and so she's getting too upset. Like, first of all, what the fuck? Like, my dead friend gave that to me and you're just gonna throw it away without even saying anything. Um and then
And not even that, like, it's not even yours. It's mine. It's mine. Why you
yeah,
touching my shit for?
exactly. And then when she had like woken up after giving birth to the baby, being told the baby was stillborn, and he came up to her and he was like, "Well, we'll have more babies, and this time we'll have babies when we're like rich and I can get us a big house." Like, that's not the fucking point. First of all, I just
That's
lost
not
my
what she. Yeah, she lost her baby. She wants to be. She doesn't care about the fucking big house. She just wanted you to be to feel like you were fulfilled as an actor, but you wanted more. Greedy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's like, right off the bat, he was like, "Well, we can have more," and he he never went into detail about having more kids, but he sure as fuck went into detail about their new house and how it's gonna look and how it's gonna be so big. And it's like, well, nobody asked, first of all. Um, and I think also, while she's basically in the other room grieving for her lost child that she was trying to protect, he's at this party, literally where their child is. And he's not even with the child, he's just chilling with everybody. And that kind of pissed me off too, because it's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like it goes to show that he doesn't feel bad about it, like, at all. He was never there for her at all.
He got what he wanted, and so why would he feel bad?
Well, you can see in some scenes where he tries to like hide and he'll try to like look away. I think also, um the scene, I think, after the rape, where he was like practicing being on his crutches, and Rosemary was like, what's wrong? Like, you haven't looked at me at all. And it's like, and I thought that was also kind of fucked up. Like, you raped her, you did this whole ritual, and you're what, ashamed, or you're scared or whatever. You're not looking at your wife who now has to carry this devil child inside of her.
He there's nothing to say except saying that fuck, I just don't like Guy. Ugh.
And I like how they named him Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a guy.
Yeah, and a guy in the worst way at that. Like the stereotypical asshole that you're supposed to avoid in high school. He's that guy.
Yeah.
What about Minnie
How are you?
Cassavetes?
Fine. May I come in a minute?
Yes, of course, please do.
I just come over to thank you for saying those nice things to us the other night.
Oh, no, please.
Poor
you don't have
Terry. We thought maybe we failed her some way. Though her note made it crystal clear we hadn't.
I didn't like her from the off. First introduction, I was like, she's annoying, she's overbearing, she nosy. Go back to your fucking apartment, lady, ASAP. Like, why are you here? Why are you fucking with? I don't like you. What did you think about
Yeah.
Minnie?
No, I didn't like her either. Literally, as soon as she would come knocking and Rosemary opened the door, she was already like halfway into her apartment.
Didn't even let Rosamund say hi. What do you want?
Yeah, she just whoop,
I'm busy.
hello. Um, yeah, she was extremely overbearing. Every time like Rosemary would go out, I don't know where you would see her there and be like, "Oh my God, Rosemary, what a coincidence!" Huh? And it's like it's not a coincidence, now is it? Very nosy, very.
She was more suspicious than Roman. From having not had watched it for a while and then seeing it this time, right off the bat, I was like, something's off with this lady. Like she's trying too hard, and she's being too friendly. And when you just met this woman,
Yeah, and then she didn't even mourn the daughter, not really daughter, that killed herself.
suspicious.
And also, I just want to point out, I don't know why Rosemary wore the necklace that she saw this woman dead in. You,
This is for you from Roman and me.
For me?
Just a little present is all. For moving in.
There's no
It's
reason.
real old. It's over 300 years.
wearing.
She even flashback to it. I'm like, you flashback to it, and then you put it on, and it has a smell to it. I don't care how nice looking the gift is. If it has a smell coming off of it, you decline that shit.
If I saw someone dead with it, I don't want it. And why would you give the one thing that reminds you of the girl you raised to someone else? Like I don't know, but no, but yeah, Minnie was very, very suspicious. That lady was like, because literally after, I forgot what her name was, the girl who had killed herself. Like the day after, she had invited Rosemary and Guy over, and she was like, "You guys should just come over. We'll have like a dinner or whatever." Like I don't know, like okay, and she seemed very like happy, very chippy, very bubbly, which I feel like, I mean, I kind of get not wanting to be alone, but I don't get being just like excitable, full of life. Um, and then when they got there, they noticed that they didn't have any pictures of her, which I thought was also sad. Very suspicious.
Because even Rosemary clocked that. She was like, they changed their pictures, or because or they have pictures that don't even fit the frame. It's all off. I'm like, see, she being suspicious. But what about her husband? What about Roman, the mastermind behind the whole thing? He was the son of the Satanist.
He was, but I actually kind of don't have any like big opinions about Roman. I feel like he was very behind the scenes. I think the strongest impression I had of him was towards the end, when Rosemary had stormed into the room with a knife and he was kind of like talking to her very gently. Um, it's very cult like to me, but I don't know. I feel like I don't see him much throughout the movie.
I
Um,
feel like he's only in a few scenes. He's only really in like 3 or 4 scenes where he's actually talking. The rest of them was mostly just like hallucinations. His wife has a bigger presence than he does.
yeah, like I feel like he's kind of more like in the background, like just watching stuff go down. Um, but I guess I guess another scene where he gave me a strong impression was um when Hutch came to visit her, and then like after she was already pregnant, and then Roman came and he was like, "Who's here?" Like all, and he could see his face already basically through the door, and he was like, "Oh, who's here? Do you have a friend?" And I don't know why she would invite him in if you have someone over, but she was like, "Do you want to meet him?" Which makes sense because Roman was just like staring at her like, "You have someone over? That's weird." And then he walks in, and then the whole time he's like staring at Hutch, very like weird like, and it's like you gotta chill. for a second. Like, just calm down. And then, literally, as soon as he leaves, Guy comes running through the door.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. He was definitely just like behind the scenes, the mastermind, making sure everything got together. It's just because he was always cool, calm, and collected, while Minnie was running her ass around like a maniac the entire movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Terry. I'm pretty sure Terry committed suicide because she figured out what was going on, what they were trying to do to her, and she had to get out. And that was the only way she felt that she could. But what did you think about Terry?
I felt the same way. I think the first night they were there and you heard chanting, that's they were basically doing the same thing that they did to Rosemary, but to Terry. I'm assuming that's the only way. That's the only reason they saved her, which kind of sucks. Like you have these people who basically took you in, they raised you. Like I think Terry said multiple times, like they really saved my life, just to find out that the whole time they just want me to carry Satan's baby. Um, and it's kind of sad, like because you see the difference between Rosemary and Terry. Terry, her way out was I'm gonna kill myself, but Rosemary was more like in a way submissive because I mean she wanted the baby. Well, I guess Rosemary also didn't know really what was going on. But once she was like figuring it out, well, I guess she didn't know until the end, really, like that it was the devil's baby. She just thought they were gonna use her baby. Um, but I don't know. I think Terry's character is kind of sad.
Yeah, the fact that she thought the only way she could get out was by killing herself was so depressing, and I feel like her meeting Rosemary is what was like gave her the strength to be like I had to get out some kind of way because she felt very complacent up until I feel like I got the feeling she was very complacent until she met Rosemary.
Really?
But also, you can also see it is that she meets Rosemary, sees that there's a new young fertile woman in the building, and she's like, I can get out, I can leave, and if I leave, it's no longer my problem. They'll give it to her. Because I also kind of thought about that too. What about you?
I guess yeah. I can see that. Um, I don't know. I thought that they were having such a good time down there in the laundromat. They were like talking to each other and having like very not deep conversations, but I feel like Terry was she felt very comfortable with Rosemary and yeah, I guess maybe in a way Terry was kind of like a prisoner there, just the way Rosemary was. And then found the courage when she talked to Rosemary, and because I guess she realized that this is kind of not normal, and um, like maybe I should get out, especially when like because Terry had told Rosemary about her brother in the Navy, and after her death, and the police had asked Roman and Minnie like you know does she have any like other family, and they were like no, and Rosemary was like yeah she does, like she has a brother in the Navy, which kind of goes to show that you know Roman and his wife and Terry's relationship is not as great as they make it seem, or as Roman was making it seem. So I'm assuming that um she didn't feel comfortable enough to tell him, or maybe they didn't care, but I also think that she kind of knew something was off. And then yeah, and then once she had spoken to Rosemary, she had the courage to jump off and kill herself because she was like, I don't have any other way. I guess yeah, technically she doesn't have any other family. She was felt abandoned. She was basically a runaway, and she didn't even have anywhere to go.
Yeah, she sounded so grateful to have met them, and then for them to use that against her, disgusting.
Yes, which makes me so sad. I mean, I'm assuming she also probably just wanted to kill herself because these people she thought was nice betrayed her. They were gonna use her. Maybe they were already gaslighting her. All that to kind of just crumple down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about Dr. Abraham?
Is that the guy that they had referred her to?
Mm-hmm. Which was also quite like weird. Like, oh no, no, honey, just go to their doctor. Don't worry about our like what? Like, no, I have my own doctor. Why can't I use my own doctor?
Right? No, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they were like, oh, he's the best in the city. I don't care. Like, this guy knows my family, knows my history. Oh, Rosemary. Anyway, he I noticed that he told her like a couple times to not read books. Like off the bat, she wasn't even really like, I'm assuming she wasn't an avid reader, but he was like, just don't read. Like it'll put ideas in your head. And I was like, bitch. Like they're trying to keep her as ignorant as possible. And also for him to see her in the state she was as a medical professional and not help her in any way, I was like, I mean, I get it. You're trying to get this demon baby to turn fine, but give her something. Like Rosemary was already like very tiny, very skinny, and now she's like bones. Like she looks horrible. You can see the bags under her eyes are just dark. She's in pain like 24/7.
Like, what fucking oath did you take as a doctor? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. Like, if you're gonna have this woman carry the devil's baby, fine, but at least make her comfortable. Jesus. No, but no, nobody cared about Rosemary, so I guess. I don't know. I think my strongest opinion is just him as a medical professional, having to see this woman suffer very badly. I don't know, I just can't. I don't know. Actually, I don't feel like.
They're all horrible.
Yeah.
But we've come to our last characters. I decided to put them down together, and it is the devil and the devil's baby, Rosemary's baby. What did you think about the concept of the devil and the devil's and like Satan's spawn?
What I didn't get, I think, about the whole thing is like, why? Like what was the point of them doing all this for the devil's baby? Like, is it for like, is he supposed to be the antichrist, or like?
Well, I don't think they really cared to ask like why you need us to do this. Well, first, like Roman's a Satanist. He worships the devil, so I don't think he really needed a reason. The devil just told him to do it, so he did it. But I think everyone else they benefited from it. I mean, like Guy, his movie career, his acting career started to take off because he pledged to make this happen. So I think everyone involved, outside of like Roman and maybe Minnie, were benefiting. I'm pretty sure Roman was benefiting from it too. Yeah, they all got type of like they benefited from it. So why wouldn't they help the devil have his kid? Now, what the devil was gonna do with that kid, we would have to watch. We would have to read the sequel to the book, Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, what? There's a sequel?
Yep, there's a book.
What?
Yeah, this is based off a book. The book came out in early '67.
I knew that like that it was based off a book, but I didn't know it was a sequel to the book.
Whatever happened to Rosemary's Baby?
That's what I want to know too, because it's like, I don't know. I'm very curious to know, like, what the devil's plan was for it. Because, like, I don't know. Because it's just like, why? Unless, I mean, unless it was like a way for him to like come into the earth and wreak havoc.
It never really made it clear if like if I think it might have just been like the devil's spawn. Like I guess the devil needed to replenish himself. I don't know, but the book is not called "What Happened to Rosemary's Baby." I'm sorry. There is
Wow.
there's a sequel to the movie that's called "Look What Happened to Rosemary's Baby," but it was a TV movie on ABC in '76, almost like 7 years later, different cast. It's not based off a novel because the novel is called Son of Rosemary, and the movie Look What Happened to Rosemary's Baby is a completely like original sequel story that has nothing to do with the book. But now I kind of want to read The Son of Rosemary because I don't know. I want to know what happened to the baby.
Me too. Like I'm very curious to know what the plan was um for all of that. I want to know like how Rosemary handled having to um knowing, I mean, her, growing up very Catholic, knowing that she's raising the devil's son, you know? Um, if there's any like conflicting feelings about that, or did like,
That's where the movie messaging kind of like as a yes, this is a '60s movie when it was just like her her nature, her female nature of being a mother outshines any of her rational thoughts. She's a mom first. Like what? This is the devil's baby. I can do this again and get a regular baby out of this. Like bye.
yeah, and that's what bothered me about the whole thing. Like everyone benefited from him. Guy did, his little fucking followers did. That bitch, I forgot what her name was. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to curse on here, but like,
We swear. This is an adult show.
what was her name? It has
was
like
it
two names to it.
Minnie's friend?
Yeah, yeah, the one that was like cursing at Rosemary, telling her to get away from the baby. You don't belong here. Like, first of all, bitch.
Was it Laura Louise?
Yeah, yeah, she really pissed me off. Like, first of all,
I did
bitch.
not. I didn't like anyone I met. Only people, only people in the movie that I enjoyed that I liked was Rosemary, was her friend, what's Hutch, her actual doctor, like even though he called, even though Dr. Hill called Abraham, he was just doing his job. He didn't know he was doing anything wrong. So all of that, I like those characters. Everyone else is ass. Like everyone. Well, Terry was a good person, but everyone else was ass.
But she bothered me so much because towards the end, when like Rosemary found out that her baby was the devil's eyes and stuff, and everybody was like, basically everyone was like, Rosemary, you should join, like, raise the baby, except for this bitch, like, except for Laura Louise. She was very like cold towards Rosemary. She was very pissed that she was there. When she was rocking the the cradle too hard, and Rosemary was like,
Rocking him too fast. That's why he's crying.
Don't mind your own business.
Let Rosemary rock you.
I,
chill.
I feel like she wanted it to be her womb and wanted it to be her baby, but that wasn't in the devil's plan, sweetheart. Let that hurt go.
She really needed to know her place. Like, the devil chose me. Get out of here.
Like devil, like I'm taking care of the kid. Like smite this bitch. Get out of my face. Do something.
Yeah, but I mean, I also don't have like strong feelings about the devil in general, because I mean, I guess he was just doing devil things. He was
Like
just trying to.
he isn't really part of the movie. I mean, you see him. There's like an actual like manifestation of the devil, but he's just like in the background the entire movie. He like he's a part of the plot, but you don't see him doing anything really. That's what Roman's for. That's what the whole cult is for.
Yeah, I feel like he. I don't know. I kind of feel like he wasn't like, Roman, like, give me a baby. I feel like Roman was like, hey, I'll give you a baby if you do this, this, and this. And the devil was like, well, shit, all right, that's cool. I need a devil spawn somewhere, because he wasn't tormenting Rosemary. He wasn't like, like there wasn't a lot of like supernatural stuff going on in the movie. It was people, like, people were doing this to Rosemary. Um, I personally think that um that manifestation that of the devil was her dream. I think that she dreamt that that guy was the devil raping her while she was sleeping, um, which I think also kind of falls back on her being extremely religious and seeing as Guy as evil because he was kind of, I mean, he was very cowardly, but again, he basically sold his wife and his baby to the devil just so he can get famous. Like, okay. So I mean, I feel like I don't know. I mean, it's just the devil doing devil things. I don't know how to explain it. He was just doing his thing. Like it was people that were like tormenting her and people that were like causing her pain and trapping her, and because she could have just easily gone these couple. I'm pretty sure she could have gone those months carrying the devil's baby with no problem. She would have had no worry if they didn't like make it as difficult for her as as possible. If that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah, I think the movie. This is a good movie, and it leaves you with so many questions, and it makes you want to hate so many people. I don't know. I love this movie. I don't know what to say after that. But
I no, I yeah, I had a lot of opinions when I watched this movie and after. It really made me think, and it's been a long time since I watched a scary movie that made me think.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, it does make you think. It makes you. It gives you. I don't know. It just it invokes so much, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I
I
would watch it again. I'd probably buy the DVD and watch it again.
but it's time for us to go get some behind the scenes info. This movie had a budget of $3.2 million, and they got a box office of $33.4 million. That was a huge, huge return. Um, as I said earlier, it's based on the 1967 novel of the same name by Ira Levin. I don't think I said the person's first name right. Um, the main actress Mia Farrow was not the director's first choice. There were several other actresses that he had in mind. His main actress, let me check. I forgot what that was. His main actress, he wanted a full-figured, robust girl next door type, and he wanted an actress called Tuesday Weld. But she turned it down, and then he also considered his wife for the role, Sharon Tate, but I don't know what happened with that. And then a bunch of other like big artists of the like big acts of the time, like Jane Fonda, Patty Duke, Goldie Hawn, they were all considered. But given that the book didn't sell a lot, he was afraid that the movie wasn't going to do good. So he cast Mia Farrow, who was a rising star at the time, who had a bit of cachet, in the lead role because he needed a recognized name. And she was a star on a hit TV show, Peyton's Place, soap opera that ran for about 5 years.
Oh, cool.
It was stunt casting. But it worked out because she was great in the role. That scene I talked about where Rosemary was walking into traffic, that was real.
That was real?
That was real.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was. It's. Let me see. I gotta find it because I left it out of my notes for some reason. Yeah, that scene. He had her in walking into oncoming traffic on Fifth Avenue. Um, and when Mia Farrow was afraid, the director pointed to her pregnancy pattern and said, "No one's gonna hit a pregnant woman." So she had to walk into real traffic with only one with only one camera person operating a handheld camera because he was the only one willing to go out there with her.
Oh my god.
Everyone else was like, "You're fucking crazy. I'm not getting paid enough for this. Goodbye." The movie was over budget and at least 3 weeks behind schedule. They had a bunch of delays. They had to like move to different parts of the country and shit. And then during the middle of like one of the shoots, in front of the cast and the crew and everyone else, her husband served her with divorce papers.
What?
And her husband is what was the famous, the late the late Frank Sinatra.
What? Oh, that's crazy.
who was like years older than her. Because when he died back in like when Frank Sinatra died, he was when Frank Sinatra died, he was 82 back in 1998. Mia Farrow is currently 76.
Oh my god.
It's a huge age gap, which was the norm back then, I guess. But yeah, and she was gonna quit, but the director convinced her not to. And I can't talk about this movie without talking about the director, Roman Polanski, who has a interesting past. You know anything about him?
I don't think so.
What you have you done any? You know about Charles Manson and the Manson murders, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know the actress that he killed.
Yeah.
That was Roman Polanski's wife at the time. Like that was his wife and his unborn child who were murdered in his home.
What?
Yep. And
Huh.
he considered her his wife for this role before it went to Rosemary. This movie came out. I want to say a few months before his wife died. The movie came out in June of '68, and she died in August of '69.
Damn.
Yep, he had a couple. He had a couple hits before and after. I mean, he directed Chinatown in 1974, which is a huge hit. I love that movie. But he also made The Ghost Rider in 2010, which I also love. But Roman Polanski is a fugitive from the American government.
He's a fugitive? Oh my
Hmm.
god, this is getting crazy.
Roman Polanski has a huge sexual assault, sexual abuse uh, background. In 1977, he was arrested for the sexual assault of a 13-year-old girl.
Oh my god, 13?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. That's fucking crazy.
In 2009, Roman Polanski was arrested while in Switzerland at the request of the United States. And this is all doing like sexual misconduct, sexual crimes, and he's on the run. And that was back in 2009 that he was supposed to be arrested, but he still was able to make movies and get Academy Awards for these movies while a fugitive a law in law. So
That's fucking crazy. Oh my god.
mm-hmm.
Huh. Wow. I didn't know that
Because
we had so much behind it.
he's been a fugitive from the American government since 1978. In that time, he's made critically acclaimed films that have won Golden Globes and BAFTAs and Academy Awards for movies that he made in '79, The Pianist, which he made in 2002, which is a great movie, The Ghostwriter in 2010, which is a great movie. He made movies in 2013 and 2019, all of which won awards. And The Pianist won the Oscar for Best Director in 2003. He and that's with him had already being like a fugitive since 1978.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. But all that changed post Me Too. He's no longer eligible for any big awards. So his filmography has, I mean, he's still making the films, but he's not winning or being nominated for awards. They haven't nominated him since 2011.
Well, that's good. I can't imagine, oh my god, that sounds awful.
And the fact that he's a director in a movie about like mistreating women.
Right? The
Jesus
audacity.
Christ.
Well, maybe that's why he made Guy such a very hateable character. He could relate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Well, I gave you guys all that backstory because this is the only Roman Polanski movie that we're gonna ever talk about because he didn't make that many horror movies or psychological thrillers. I mean, I guess Ghost Rider can count, but that's more of a political thriller. So that wraps up Roman Polanski, and that wraps up Rosemary's Baby, but not really, because Maria, you have to give us your review out of 5.
Out
What's
of,
your review, Maria?
I want to give it a 4 because like I really really liked the movie, but like I just felt so bad for Rosemary.
Same. I also give it a 4. It's a good movie, good themes. It's amazing. It just keeps you guessing and just leaves you with so much anger and questions and empathy. And I don't mind like watching it again. I find like every time I rewatch it, I pick up on something else, or I pick
Yeah.
up on someone else being shady when I didn't think they were being shady the time I watched the previous. So yeah, I give it a 4 as well. Good movie. We highly recommend you guys watch it. And if any of you watched the 2011 2010 miniseries, let me know how it is, because I'm probably never gonna watch it myself. So thank you guys all for listening. Thank you, Maria, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This has been the Haddonfield Horrors Podcast. A peace. The Haddonfield Horrors Podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?